Oh boy, this one's gonna be fun. Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today we need to talk about Johnny Gaudreau and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Of course, with Gaudreau signing with CBJ this last offseason, seeing how that decision has turned out up to this point, how bad it's looking, and the future of Columbus, of course, the New Jersey Devils and everything in between. But what has gone on with Gaudreau? What has gone on with Columbus? What has gone wrong for them? And what happens next? Watch till the end for all of the discussion, all of the hockey talk, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you are new. 50% of you guys are subscribed, so hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and let's get into it. Now, of course, this last offseason, Johnny Gaudreau, the big fish in free agency, eventually would land with the Columbus Blue Jackets on a huge multi-year deal, truly cementing himself as a Blue Jacket for the foreseeable future and likely for most of the rest of his career at the very least. He will be a Blue Jacket for a very long time, and he anchored himself with this Columbus team in this franchise. And personally for me, even though I didn't see them making the playoffs, I saw them doing better than they were last year. I saw the goaltending maybe improving a little bit, but I still didn't see them as a playoff contender like some other people saw them. But they have been about as bad as you could possibly have wished to see. I mean, they have had just a horrific start to the season. And you look at the league-wide standings, you see the top 5 teams, Vegas, Boston, New Jersey. We'll get back to them. You have to go all the way down to 32nd, and that is where Columbus is at, with 12 games played, a 3-9-0 record. They're worse than Anaheim, San Jose, Vancouver, Arizona, all these teams that, especially at the start of the season, you'd think would be in that 32nd position. No. It is Columbus, and they have been truly horrific. And also, if we have to look at the goal differential too, minus 25. Easily the worst in the league, and they have been getting creamed. But then let's go back to the point standings and let's take a look at the two teams that were in on Johnny Gaudreau right to the very end. And of course, the first one was the New Jersey Devils with the reverse record of the Columbus Blue Jackets, a 9-3-0 record, 18 points, first in the Metro, third in the entire league, and at such a really good position too. 6 straight wins. They've been on fire and have been absolutely prolific. And here's the thing too, with Gaudreau, one of the main things with the Columbus signing was that he was really engaged with the New Jersey Devils before he signed with Columbus. Before Columbus even called him, he was close to getting a deal done with the Devils, but when Columbus called, he basically ghosted New Jersey and went straight to Columbus with the offer they sent. So New Jersey was in on Gaudreau. They desperately wanted him and ultimately did not land him, and we've seen how New Jersey has had the last laugh so far. And then you even have the Philadelphia Flyers, who are another team in on Gaudreau, and even though Gaudreau couldn't sign there because Philadelphia just could not make the cap space work, they were another team that was in on him right to the very end, and they're right now with a 6-3-2 record. When your team is somehow getting embarrassed by the Flyers in records, it's actually crazy to think about just the decision that Gaudreau made and the other teams that were involved, and already how bad it's looking. And to make things worse, you look at the goals scored. They are right now third last in the NHL. Funnily enough, the Flyers are second last. But then you got the goals against, and right now Columbus is only beaten by the Anaheim Ducks with 56 goals allowed. They're second last right now, and again, that defense and goaltending continues to be a massive problem. Now, when we talk about Johnny Gaudreau's mistakes so far, signing with the Columbus Blue Jackets, if you want to call it that, he himself has not done all too badly. You see in 12 games, he has 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points, and especially when you consider the players he has around him, he's done perfectly fine and has still played at a really high level. And you look as well at the Blue Jackets team scoring, and that also backs it up. Gaudreau leading the entire team with 9 points. Closest is a bunch of players tied with 6. Kent Johnson, Werenski, Shinigab, Boone Jenner, Jacob Voracek, and Jack Roslovic, all around that 6-point threshold. But Gaudreau has still been easily their best forward and a guy that's still driving play exceedingly well. And also, of course, looking at the goals, he has 5 goals, only rivaled by Kent Johnson's 3. He's still been pretty amazing, but again, the problem is just the team around him. Just a horrible core right now, and although they will get better for sure, especially I would say after this year, there's still a lot of work to be had. But I feel like the thing is, with Gaudreau signing in Columbus, I think he expected this team to be much better and be in the playoff race. Not be a Stanley Cup contender by any means now, but be a team that could be around that playoff race, be close, be in the hunt. But they have been anything but. And again, it isn't really Gaudreau's fault necessarily. That defense and that goaltending has been horrible. Merzlikins, unfortunately, has just been woefully inconsistent this year, for an example. But it's just the choice that he made. He had New Jersey right there, and if that hadn't happened, maybe they don't go after Palat and everything like that. So I feel like for New Jersey, even though they've still done pretty well, imagine Gaudreau on that team right now. I feel like at least the team-wise, Gaudreau would be much happier in New Jersey, at least up to this point. And you look at the lineup here for Columbus, and the best part of the team is that forward lineup, but there's still so many holes left to fill, and obviously that will come with the Blue Jackets retooling and of course getting a lot of prospects in the system, so it will look better, especially in a few years' time when players like Sillinger and Kent Johnson are even better than they are already. But it's just a lineup that doesn't spark playoff aspirations to me. And you look at the defense too. You got Werenski, Blankenberg, Gavrikov, Pecky, Bean, Gudbranson. It's not a good defense, and especially defensively. I mean, this is a defense that can put up points and can really bring it on the offensive side and on the power play, but defensively, there are major issues with this with this decor. I mean, I would say Gavrikov is probably the best defensive player, but he's been awful so far this year. He was solid last season, but this year he's got off to an absolutely awful start, getting caved in left and right. And of course, then you go on to the goaltending, which you have Joonas Korpisalo of Elvis Merzlikins. I have seen Korpisalo as one of the most overrated goaltenders over these past few years. That continues to be the case. And even a little bit Elvis Merzlikins. Obviously, off the ice has gone through a ton of stuff, and that has obviously affected him. But still, on the ice, the results have just not been there, especially this season. And last year, I thought he was just way too inconsistent, and that problem has carried over onto this season. Now, they do have some injuries with Boquist and Voracek, but still at the same time, even when healthy, I don't think this Blue Jackets team is anything special, and that's at their best. And it seems like with Gaudreau, at least so far, there might have been a lot more success if he chose the Devils. And from this article from Sportsnet, also detailing how it went down, once again, with Gaudreau, he said, "I was trying to get a deal done with the Devils, and then Columbus called." That's what Gaudreau said during an appearance on the Spin Checklist podcast Tuesday, where he explained his thought process behind signing a 7-year, $68 million deal with the Blue Jackets in free agency, and how he spent his waning hours as a member of the Flames. "I had like 3-4 teams that I knew I wanted to play for. Columbus was obviously high on that list for me, but there were a few other teams. And on the opening night of free agency, I was already talking to 2 of them. So I was pretty much signing with a different team. Most of the day, I hadn't heard from Columbus, and then all of a sudden, they called at like 4 p.m. And I told my agent, I was like, I want to go there, just try to get this done. This is the spot I want to be right here. And he got it done in an hour, and next thing you know, I was signing with Columbus. It was a stressful day, but I was super excited." And then you go on to the next part of it. New Jersey general manager Tom Fitzgerald told reporters last week he was convinced Gaudreau was going to sign with the Devils before the star forward shocked the hockey world with his announcement. "I would say I thought, because of the conversation that I had with him and his wife Meredith, that we really connected. I know Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, my older boy Fitzgerald played with him at Boston College, and that same son was his brother, Matt Gaudreau's roommate for all 4 years. I know his mom and dad well." And that's just crazy. That is just crazy to think about that. Again, New Jersey was right on the door. They were so close to signing him. Tom Fitzgerald thought they were going to sign him, but then Columbus came in, swooped him up, and immediately Gaudreau was like, "I want to play for the Columbus Blue Jackets." And that quote right there, at least so far, ain't looking too pretty. And man, it's crazy to take a look at the New Jersey Devils, who are 9-3 right now. And I think really the biggest thing that held them back, for me at least, was the goaltending coming into this year. But so far, Vanacek, besides the first couple of games, I guess, has been really reliable for the Devils, and that has truly proved to be the main difference. And that was really my biggest question mark, was what was if we actually saw goaltending with New Jersey. And I didn't think the Devils needed Gaudreau to be on that forward group to be successful, and we've already seen why. And in some ways, I think for New Jersey, they might have dodged a little bit of a bullet. Yes, Gaudreau would have been amazing to have, but considering their cap situation or what's going to likely happen with their cap situation in the future, they need as much money as possible to keep Jack Hughes, keep Nico Hischier for even past these current deals. And if you had Gaudreau there, it would have complicated a few things for them, but especially Jesper Bratt. I mean, that's the type of player that you need to have long-term, and unfortunately hasn't been signed long-term yet. He is going to get a huge payday, and if they already had Gaudreau on the payroll, that would have made things a lot more complicated, especially when you're already paying Hischier and Hughes the money that you are paying them. Now for the Devils, especially the prospect pool they have, they can afford to have a lot more depth, which in my opinion is way better for the team than having another player like Johnny Gaudreau. And we've seen some of the depth already coming up huge, players like Miles Wood having 8 points in 12 games, for instance, but you're going to need to pay them eventually. And I feel like, especially with how well they've done, I feel like having that extra cap space is going to take them such a long way. And I think the Devils are in a really interesting position. Of course, you got the Hughes and Hischier contracts long term, but again, that Jesper Bratt deal that it will eventually have to come is going to be huge. Then you got Tatar coming off his deal, which will likely give them some cap space to work with. But as of right now, it's interesting. They have $0 in projected cap space, but you have a lot of players that will be coming off their deals after this year. And especially with the way that players like Nathan Bastian and now Fabian Zetterlund, for instance, are playing, I think there's a lot of opportunity for them to get bigger pay raises and become official NHL players. And that's the thing for me that I think is going to be interesting is how do we see this Devils team compete? How do we see them get better and better over these next few years? Because I do think there's a lot of room for them to improve throughout the trade deadline and even in free agency next year. I mean, again, locking up Hughes, locking up Hischier to the deals that they got him at are absolutely brilliant and the right decisions to make. And once they sign Jesper Bratt long term, to me, I think there's so much potential to add big players onto that middle six especially that they wouldn't have the opportunity to if they signed Gaudreau in the offseason. And it does suck a lot that Andre Palat will be out for the next couple of months, I believe is what it was, and he was already a player that they signed this last offseason to that $6 million deal, 5-year deal, and he was a player that I thought was going to be a big part of the team, but they've transitioned amazingly, and that's with the resurgence again of Jack Hughes, him playing amazingly over these past couple of weeks, Nico Hischier really being the glue for that forward roster and really now being healthy, doing the best he's ever done. To me, with this New Jersey team, there's a good case to be made that if they had Gaudreau, their future wouldn't be as interesting, I guess. Obviously, Gaudreau would have helped the roster and would be really sick to have on the squad, but when you have to sign Bratt in the future, when you have to sign all these guys, especially the deal that Gaudreau got, New Jersey is obviously still playing amazingly. And hey, if they got Gaudreau, they might not have been able to get a player like John Marino, for instance, who has been amazing so far with this Devils defense. And especially now with the improvements on that Devils D-core, and now them finally getting some actual goaltending, to me, I think this New Jersey team is set up really well, and again, might not have been as well set up with Gaudreau on the payroll. But man, it is going to be interesting to watch how over these next 8 years, the New Jersey Devils and the Columbus Blue Jackets do. Let me know in the comments down below, which team do you see having the bigger success over this time, Columbus or New Jersey? Do you see the Devils winning a cup in the future? Do you think the Blue Jackets might be able to turn the tide and win a cup under Gaudreau? Let us know down below, and let us know what your thoughts are on the Gaudreau situation. Should you have chose New Jersey instead? Let us know down below, and of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share the video with all their friends that you guys, all the hockey fans you guys know online, and click this card for all the trade rumor content right at one playlist. My name is Nathan. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Goodbye.